I'm Paul,
I'm Steve.
and this is Check Your Shelf. So we just finished up Horror Mayhem and decided to do a reading report because, believe it or not, we managed to read other stuff while reading Antarctic Horror, and so we thought we'd do a reading report. So this is our May reading report.
I'll start with the one I'm most actively reading, and it's
Okay.
on my Kindle.
All right.
It's Man in the High Castle.
Oh, okay.
And the reason I'm reading Man in the High Castle
Mhm.
is directly related to Horror Mayhem, because when you sent me that PDF of In Edmondson's Tent,
Mm-hmm.
and I figured out how to get it into my Kindle in a way that makes it very Kindle-like,
Mhm.
I remembered that I had a PDF of Man in the High Castle,
Mm-hmm.
and I decided to give it a try because the reason I hadn't read it was it's really hard to read a PDF on a phone, and that's
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know. So I decided to try my trick, and it worked, and so now I have Man in the High Castle on my Kindle. For those of you that don't know, Man in the High Castle was that HBO that did that one, or Netflix or Hulu?
I think it was Amazon Prime.
Amazon Prime. All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. It was
Yeah,
Prime.
if you saw the TV series, it's a Philip K. Dick it's a novel turned into a hit Amazon Prime TV series. But it's science fiction, it's alternate history, and in which the Nazis and the Japanese won World War II, and wackiness ensues. And it's set in the 60s, so it's like 15 years after the end of the war.
Mm-hmm.
And there are some interesting characters. I never thought I'd like the book. I loved the series,
Mm-hmm.
and now I'm like a quarter of the way through the book, and I'm loving it. I actually do like the book.
Really?
So, yeah.
I'd say
If you're
that
a
like I'm
Philip K. Dick
surprised.
fan, he's also an Electric Sheep guy, right?
Yeah, not so much. I actually tried. Same thing. I saw season 1 of High Castle, and bought the book, and I'm reading it, going, the stuff that I liked in the show isn't in the book.
Oh,
So I kind of gave up on it. So yeah, I never did finish. I got about halfway through, and
Okay.
you know, what do they call that? I DNF'd it, is what the kids say.
Oh yeah, DNF. Yeah, yeah. Which is okay.
You're damn
For
right.
other,
It is.
it's okay for other people not to finish books.
Mhm.
For some reason, I have a psychosis that won't allow me to DNF a book, no matter how. If I get past the first chapter, I'll put it that way.
That's
I
why I
don't know
try
why.
to find you stuff that I know you'll like, so that I don't feel bad when you drudge
For
through something.
For making me waste 4 hours of my life.
Well, I'll start with what I'm currently reading, and the reason why I'm currently reading this is because a couple weeks ago, Bad Taste Books did a book haul video, and he brought up a copy of The Treasure at Lotani Point by Rael W. Nolan that he'd never heard of, and he's looking at the cover and he's like, "This looks kind of like Magnum PI vibes." So I messaged him. I'm like, "Dude, it's Magnum PI meets Indiana Jones. It's so good." So I'm like, "Wait a minute, I have that book." So I dug it out and started reading it, and it's so much fun because 1990, this guy Max Donovan. Max Donovan is a import-export person, we shall say, and like
Art
he's
Vandelay's colleague.
yes, he's a I'll show you the cover.
He decided to get out of exports and just
Yeah.
focus on imports.
Yeah. Well, he's a Vietnam vet. It's 1990, so you do the math as to how old he is. And like his best friend, who's kind of like a simple person who saved his bacon during Nam, got arrested for murder. So he's in the process of solving, finding out who actually killed him or who actually committed the murder. But then it turns out that this was book 1 in a series, but the like 5 books altogether, 4 or 5 books, and But they were written much later. I'm like, so is he still a Vietnam vet? Did we fix that? Because
Once a Vietnam vet, always a Vietnam vet.
well, clearly, but I'm like, as soon as you start getting up there in age, you're gonna have a little bit harder time,
That's
healing
true.
in 2 days from a bullet wound.
They retconned him into either an Iran-Contra vet, a Central America vet, or a Iraq or Afghanistan vet, probably.
Yeah, yeah. Well, he's the what's his name? Nolan. The author's last name is Nolan. Nolan is a world traveler apparently, so he tries to squeeze in as much exotic locations and stuff as possible.
Yeah.
So that's half the fun. The other half of the fun is it's first person. So for my money, there's nothing better than a first person detective novel if you're gonna read a detective novel, because you only need to know what the main character finds out to make a mystery work.
Yeah.
So
that
yeah.
helps.
Treasure at Latani Point. I remember loving it back in 1990, so I'm liking it now. So thanks, Bad Taste Books.
That's the kind of book I think that our current listener base is gonna look forward to hearing you say more about.
Yeah, yeah. And I do plan on finding the other books, because if this one turns out to be as good as I remember it.
Speaking of me doing everything I can to make things boring, Arthur C. Clarke, Hammer of God.
Nice.
I started reading it. I'm only about, what is that? That looks like about a 10th of the way through. And I got interrupted by Man in the High Castle.
Oh, okay.
No, that's more than a 10th. Page 43 out of 200. So I'm almost a quarter of the way through this one. And this was my vacation book. After I got done with it in Edmondson's tent, I started reading this one. But then I got interrupted by 2 other books. The other one will be my third, and Man in the High Castle's the other one. It is funny. The Kindle is great because when I go to bed, I like to read a little bit, and it has to be the Kindle. Otherwise, I have to have a light on. The person I share a bed with is trying to sleep, What? Usually it's my wife. Almost always.
Usually.
Almost always. Well,
I mean, there's you got dogs and cats.
Always.
So
the cat's always in the bed with us. Yeah. So yeah, Arthur C. Clarke, Hammer of God. I don't remember if I talked about this one during a book haul, but I got this one at Goodwill, and it's good so far. It's classic Arthur C. Clarke, and not classic because it was written a little bit later in his career, 93. It's a book he was asked to write, and he's like, oh, okay. Which is what I would do if I wrote a few good hits, and then people are just like, hey, we'll pay you a bunch of money to write about this. I'd be like, I guess I'm writing about that next.
I got bills to pay.
Yeah, exactly. But there's it's future, it's near future, 21 something. And there's after a couple of really bad meteor impacts, the U.S. really gets serious, or not the U.S., but the Earth really gets, which, same thing in the future, maybe, I don't know. But the Earth really gets serious about a planetary defense system that goes all the way out to Jupiter and farther. So they detect, planet killer, peanut-shaped planet killer. Peanut-shaped planet killer was my second album, by the way. I don't know if you remember. My band in college.
Was that when you were in the Weezer cover band Wheezy?
It was a tribute band. There's a difference.
That's tribute band.
So yeah, the Weezer tribute band Wheezy, second album, Peanut Shaped Planet Killer, is headed for Earth, and this planetary defense system detects it, and then they've got to go make it not hit Earth somehow. And so they say that like Deep Impact and Armageddon and all these planet-killing asteroid movies were kind of inspired by this book. So.
All those movies that have like an Aerosmith ballad in them.
Yeah, but being Arthur C. Clarke, I'm gonna guess this one will be more scientifically accurate than those.
Yeah.
Deep Impact, I've heard, is more scientifically accurate than Armageddon.
I don't think there's any science in Armageddon.
Yeah, exactly. It's just funny because in Armageddon, they're like, gotta blow it up with a nuke. Okay, got it. And in real life, it's like, oh, we're going to send a satellite to crash into this asteroid that's going to cause it to move just a little bit. And I'm like, well, that seems scientifically more plausible that you wouldn't, because when you think about how big space is, it's not like you've got to blow the thing apart or move it radically out of the way. It's just like you move it just a little bit, it's going to miss Earth, right? But that's not a very good movie.
just the space, the satellite, just going through the, going through space,
and then it hits it. I don't know exactly what Rocket Summer is all about, but I bet I'll have this one and Man in the High Castle done by July. So if they fit the pattern, then I'm happy to cover those.
Yeah, I'll have to look into the criteria. I know that's a Michael K. Vaughan event that he created, which, by the way, the man Grammaticus called him the gold standard for BookTube.
Oh.
Yeah, he absolutely
I better go subscribe.
You definitely should. He's actually the guy I watched for about a year before I decided to try this on Dune Wizard channel and realized I hate writing essays. So I invited you on the show.
Yeah, that's a whole other episode about writing an essay for your video versus having a conversation.
Yeah.
Which both are fine ways to have a podcast style video.
Mm-hmm.
One fit, but for us, I think this works better.
Yeah, definitely. It gives us an excuse to talk once a week.
Exactly.
I read probably more this past month than I've read in a while because for about a week my girlfriend was out of town and I was bored stiff. So I was just reading one book after another. So I don't normally read this much. I'm just throwing it out there. So I finished book 2 of the SOBs series. I talked a little bit about it in a couple of videos back, and before the Antarctic horror show, and I wasn't liking it at first because it was not. I don't think it was written as well as the first one was. Like my joke was, the first one was written by 4 people. This was written by one guy, and it's not as good. But what's his name here? Special thanks to Alan Phillipson. Well, Alan got better.
Oh,
in the last half of this, and I guess he wrote a lot of them, but Alan got way better. This book ups the stakes of the first one. I'm going to do a full-length video about the SOBs because I want to do a whole series, but this one ended up much better. It takes place in Iran. Iran's got a couple dirty bombs. They send the SOBs in to make it look like an accident. Like 12 or 13 SOBs go on this mission. Like 10 of them come home. So
12 or 13 go in, 10 come out.
The body count was pretty high. One of the fun parts about the SOB series, and I'll maybe touch on it a little more during the actual series of SOB series, is they would put letters in the back, like this one has like Jack Hild, who's the supposed writer of the series, but like there's a whole like the biography of Jack Hild, and basically it just says like the editors of Gold Eagle asked Jack Hill to fill in the space with a short autobiographical sketch. He responded by sending 3 telephone numbers. This was when we had telephones, kid. See, one belonged to an ex-wife. His 4th or 5th, she wasn't sure. One belonged to his partner in a now defunct import-export business.
Art Vandelay.
Yes, of farm machinery. And the last one turned out to be the Los Angeles office of the Internal Revenue Service.
Oh man.
Yeah, this was the fun of this book, was like the stuff that you found in the back of these things is just too much.
I didn't realize the theme this week was books written by import-export people.
It seems to be. You know what? With the exception of one book, that's what all these books are that I've got today.
Maybe I'll start saying that. I've always had trouble telling people what I do. So from now on, if it doesn't matter, I'm just going to say import-export.
Yeah,
They'll be like, "What do you import and export?" I'll be like, "Yeah, stuff from other countries and bring it in and send stuff from here to them."
Kind of like if you're in the mob, you're like, "I'm an independent contractor."
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. All right. I thought about whether or not to do this, but I thought if we're going to be authentic, if we're going to be real people, having a conversation, making a connection with our listeners, they might as well know that this is a book I would read.
Okay.
And it's called.
Put it in front of you. There you go.
There we go. I can't look at it and put it in front of me at the same time.
Well, it's called. Put it in front of you, and I'll read it for you.
All right.
One day, everyone will have always been against this.
Yeah. So this was written by a person from the Middle East who now lives in the U.S. and they've got people they know in Gaza, and they were taking a look at what was going on in Gaza, and they're like, look, this is the kind of thing that years from now, when it's not risky to say it, people will say, oh yeah, I was against that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's going to take
human nature. We've seen it before.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I'll leave it at that. But I had seen somebody posted about this book, and apparently it's becoming more and more well known. And they said, it's beautifully written. It's an important book for our time. And the author is Omar El Akkad. And it's funny because I read that post, and then we went out shopping on vacation, and of course I hit a bookstore with my kid, and this book was on display, and I said, okay, the ancient astronaut's trying to tell me something.
So we're gonna buy this book. The ancient astronaut. Yes, remember you heard about that book first here, kids.
That's right. And in the future, when you may already be against this, but if you're not currently and you are in the future, you could be like, oh yeah, they told me I would be against this someday. So this will be our most commented video.
Yes.
The trolls will find us. So anyway, I decided to do that just from the point of view of authenticity. This is not a political show, but y'all might as well know this is the kind of thing I read.
Yeah. So. I mean, this is us. We're as honest as we can be on this show. Yeah. So that's what you're reading. That's what we'll talk about. Well, on the exact opposite spectrum of that, I have some. I finished Zone number 1.
Nice.
This is another men's adventure series from the 80s that borders on post-apocalyptic fiction, except the apocalypse is still going on in a little stretch of land in somewhere between Germany and Russia, and called the Zone. World War III breaks out, but they decide to keep it contained. In this, I think that James Roach, who's still alive, by the way, I did a little bit of looking at him, and I do want to do a series where I review each one of these books. I've got all of them here except for 2. It was only like 9 of them.
Yeah.
And then there was a 10th that was like an ebook way before ebooks were cool.
I can send that one to my Kindle.
Yeah, I'll see if I still have. I bought it. I just never read it.
Yeah, I think I
read the first couple chapters and then forgot about it.
It was back when ebooks were like you could just make a PDF and say, here's an ebook.
Which is pretty much what it was.
Yeah.
But in the Zone basically revolves around a joint NATO company that was British and American, and they get sent on like the dirtiest, nastiest jobs there is to do in this war zone. And in the first book, they have to go basically blow up a tank repair station that's hidden near a refugee camp. So they have to infiltrate the refugee camp. It's great fun. It's gritty. We had talked about this before, and I honestly think, because you were wondering if Wizened you would like it as much as Young Naive you.
Did it hold up, as the kids say?
It definitely does. There's actually, I think it's even better.
Wow.
Because the level of grit the body count is
Yeah.
staggering with these guys. The characterization's pretty flat, but this is the first book, so they want to establish a few characters. And the the thing I forgot about this book is the absolute sheer amount of sex that's in this book.
Ah.
Okay, post-apocalyptic war zone sex. It's pretty gnarly. Not for the faint of heart.
That's a sub genre. Post-apocalyptic war zone sex.
That was your third That was your third album title.
Our third album, Wheezy. Ladies and
But
gentlemen, Wheezy.
Yeah.
Somebody's hiney.
But yeah, I'm looking for book 3 and book 6 if anybody's out there. I've got an extra copy of book 9 if anybody wants to trade. Just hit me up.
Love it. You know, are we gonna do a zone series or a zone?
Yes,
episode?
I have the zone.
Yeah.
The zone report is what I'm currently.
Nice.
Hopefully, once a month I'll be able to do a zone report.
I remember our mutual friend and relative, UK, told us that the technology was relatively accurate. I just remember being amazed by some of the things they could do, you know?
Yes.
And I was like, do we really, does that really exist? And he's like, oh yeah, that exists. I was like, "Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I bet it might be dated at this point because even wilder things currently probably exist, but.
Well, speaking of dated, the Berlin Wall came down shortly after the time of this series.
Oh yeah.
So it kind of put the kibosh on a lot of men's adventure series, because this actually came out in '80. I found out, but we didn't read it until like '84, somewhere in that ballpark. At least I didn't. But when James Roach wrote book 10, it became an alternate future history timeline because I started reading it and I'm like, it prefaced it as such, and I'm reading it going, wait a minute, that person's dead. Wait, that person's dead. Well, I'm glad that person's not dead because that's my favorite person. So I got really confused at first.
Like, I wish this person were dead. So it occurs to me that the zone was an imagined future that became seemingly impossible once the Soviet Union fell apart.
Yeah.
But then now again, is no longer impossible. Like you could have the zone today, right?
Yes. What's it? History doesn't repeat itself.
But it often rhymes.
Yes.
I saw just the other day where Russia may have bombed a weapons factory in Serbia. Serbia supposedly is neutral and has been sort of pro-Russia, but also wants to be part of the EU. They're walking a tightrope there. But yeah, if that war spreads, you could have the zone all over again. Right? It's like a men's adventure. Maybe it'll be a rebirth, a new golden era of men's adventure.
For the sake of men's adventure everywhere, let's hope that happens. Oh,
yes.
Man. So, I've always wanted to read King Kong. And a couple months ago, I found a copy of King Kong at my local Goodwill. And it's not so much a movie adaptation. It's an expansion off of the script that was produced and published about 2 months prior to the original King Kong movie coming out. And while if you've seen the old black and white King Kong, you've pretty much seen this book written by well, let's see, what is it here?
I've seen that book.
Composed by or conceived by Edgar Wallace and Marion C. Cooper. But the novelization is by this is one of my favorite names, De Los W. Lovelace.
De Los W. Lovelace. I wonder what the W stands for. It's Walter.
Anyway,
it stands for Walter. He's like, I can't put Walter. Just put W.
Walter Wally.
De Los
Anyway,
Walter Lovelace.
if you've seen the movie, you've read the book. Except the crazy thing is that there's a lot more in the book. This book is, how to put it, there's like 2 chapters at the end that involve King Kong rampaging through New York City. The rest of it is getting the boat together to go to the island to find, and then finding King Kong, running from dinosaurs, and which apparently can die really easy with a bullet.
Nice.
I don't think they thought that one through all the way, but I will say it is a very good book, and I'm doing a terrible review of it.
Well, we always thought dinosaurs were these armored, thick-skinned things, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's possible they were just like birds. Like,
well, you know what I love about that theory, about the bird theory, and I'm willing to embrace it. Like, we watch videos of, like, if you've seen like TikToks of like the male birds trying to attract the female birds, and they're all like,
yeah.
I'm like, could you imagine like a T-Rex?
Yes, because I saw a documentary where they had the T-Rex doing that.
Oh no!
Like yeah, I saw one of those. Is probably on Discover or Netflix or something. But yeah, and the T-Rex was like with his little short arms, just going. I was like, "Are you kidding?
You want some of this? You want some of this?
You want some of this?"
But yeah, they get the boat. They go to Skull Island. They deal with the indigenous folks that live there. They fight all kinds of dinosaurs. They eventually now they spend a good deal of time running away from King Kong till they put him to sleep, and then they fast track it to New York. The jungle stuff, the island jungle stuff, is the best part of this whole book. It's like, it's not as good by far as like what an Edgar Rice Burroughs like Lost World book would be, or even his Tarzan stuff or anything like that. It's not nearly as good as that. It has the heart of an adventure story. It just kind of lacks the flair of detail. The girl in it, she's completely useless though. She's all like swoony and stuff, and there is a fair amount of naughtiness in it, and I don't want you running to to find this book and look for real naughtiness, but 1936 naughtiness.
It's a product of its time.
Well, her dress just keeps getting smaller and smaller and smaller because it gets snagged on branches and stuff like that.
She keeps washing it and drying it on hot.
Yes, but and this one's illustrated. Some of the illustrations are great. Like where's like the famous one? You get like King Kong destroying one of the planes. That's
awesome.
And there's some cool dinosaur pictures in here. Like, I would have loved to read this when I was little. I think I would have like just thought it was the best thing ever. But yeah, I will say this. I recommend it. Just don't go into it thinking it's Edgar Rice Burroughs.
Really, really good review. This ain't no Edgar Rice Burroughs, but
that's right.
But it is every bit a De La W
Lovelace.
De
Los W Lovelace.
De Los Walter Lovelace.
Yes. De Los Walter Lovelace. Okay, well, before we go rambling on too much further, and since we don't have a 4 and 3 and 2 and 1, out of the books that you've been reading, which one do you put reading or have read this past amount of time, not including our Antarctic horror? Which is your favorite?
So far, I'm really liking Man in the High Castle.
Yeah?
Yeah, so far I like it. I love historical, like alternate history stuff. So it's been a long time since I've read a good alternate history. How about you?
I'm going to go with The Zone, man.
Nice.
Y'all know you guys know I love my SOBs, and I will get to them, I swear to God. But the grit and the fact that this book, when I was reading it, like catapulted me back to, like, I could smell the air that was in like 1985 when I read this thing.
It just occurred to me that when these were written and we first read them, they were possible futures. Now it's alternate history. So when I read it now, I'm just going to pretend it was just written and it's alternate history.
That's kind of how I went into it. Yeah, that's kind of how I went into it.
It can't be possible future though. I just thought of this. Any futuristic, like near future war novel is going to have lots and lots and lots of drones.
Yeah. It's going to be a lot of meow, meow.
Yeah, you're just going to hear a lot
meow.
of unless you do some sort of weird plot device where you go, somehow all drones became impossible.
Yeah, like how in horror movies, there's your cell phone gets no reception. They're always dead. Yeah, because writers can't figure out a way around that. I suppose we could wrap this one up. I'm Paul.
I'm Steve.
And the next time you're looking for something to read,
check your shelf.
Sometimes, Mouse, you think you know people, and then you don't. Then you wonder, have I met them before? But it doesn't matter. You're just information. That's what we keep inside our heads.